Well, each week at this time we'll have a look at the world of sport with one of Australia's most respected and, dare I say, experienced and knowledgeable sports commentators, Cameron Williams. He joins us for the first time. Cam, good evening. Thank you for your time. Let's get into it. Where do we start? The Rugby League Grand Final is going to stay in Sydney, is it?
It is. That is a handshake deal that's been decided today, Alan, and this affects, of course, everyone in Perth, Adelaide, Melbourne and Brisbane who thought they might get to go and see an NRL Grand Final in their own backyard. That will not happen for the foreseeable future because Peter V'landys from the Rugby League has shaken hands with Dominic Perrottet from the New South Wales Premier's office, and they've decided that they will spend $800 million, Alan, refurbishing some local grounds that badly need the refurbishment. Brookvale, Leichhardt, Shark Park. But there's a new stadium at Penrith that is on the books, and
I thought they had a good stadium already.
Well, they do. It needs a lick of paint. Yeah. It could probably use some refreshed parking facilities, but it's a great facility.
What do you think the taxpayer will say? I'm thinking of flood victims when they read that, you know, there's flood victims up there who've got nothing and $800 million on sports stadia.
Well, I think that a lot of people will feel very sorry for those people in those positions. We've got teachers wanting more money for a start. The thing is that we don't actually need a new stadium out there, and the allocation of funds from governments is a mystery to everybody, but I do think it seems a little bit greedy in this instance. Look, Peter V'landys walked away from this deal saying both parties were unhappy. He says that's the hallmark of a good deal. But look, I don't think the rights to hold the NRL Grand Final in Sydney should be enshrined. I mean, we don't have people marching in the streets to take Qantas back to Winton just because that's where it was bought.
So what's going to happen to the Olympic Stadium? Because they thought they were going to get a closed roof.
Yeah, they did. And that's still very much in the never. That's going to cost a lot of money too. And V'landys made it clear today, after all, he seems to run New South Wales at the moment. He says that'll be a separate budget issue, that it's not going to come out of the $800 million allocated to the other parks that I've mentioned. So if we do need a retractable roof. It was short-sighted not to have it in the first place because live events want that certainty of weather protection.
On that Rugby Women's and Men's World Cup, they will be played there anyway, retractable roof or not. The announcement's going to be brought forward till today week.
It is, yes, May 12. So that's a very important announcement for Rugby Australia, who nearly went broke. They nearly had to turn amateur again. Last time they held the World Cup, they made $40 million, and they'll be hoping for a bigger windfall this time.
Absolutely. Just on rugby, I must say, my assistant Grand Slam coach, Alec Evans, has just been made a life member of Rugby Australia. None is more worthy, but in an extraordinary story, he was asked to be a guest at last week's match in Queensland between the Reds and Waikato. Alex was in the box, very comfortable, and after the game, a lot of young players wanted to shake his hand because he's a legend, one of the greats. Now, I have to say, at the end of the day, what happened? They shook his hand and broke the bones in his hand. So, Alex, get better. He's watching us in hospital.
And much loved in Queensland. He's a legend of rugby.
Absolutely. Off you go, Cam.
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you know what a jack jumper is?
Jack jumper, it's an ant.
Well, okay, you got me because I had to look it up. But isn't it amazing that the Jack Jumpers from Tasmania are into the NBL final series in their very first year of incorporation? Fantastic job. They play the Kings. It all starts on Friday at Kudos Arena. Best of 3 series.